All right. So now I will start connecting uh, the convex functions with the positive definiteness of the Hessian matrix. Uh, Let me begin with a simple univariate case of a function, of a convex function. So this is a theorem 2.6.1 from the Elements of Information Theory by Thomas Cover and Joy Thomas. Uh, this also I have picked up from here to bring out the fact that this has use convex functions are used in many places. For example, information theory. So let's look at this theorem. If the univariate function f has a second derivative that is non-negative or positive over an interval, then the function is convex or strictly convex over the interval. So let's start uh, proving this. So the function has a second derivative that is non-negative over an interval. So let's say that the interval is a to b, not in, or just we could just say that it is I. If the function f has an second derivative, that is function has a second derivative that is non-negative over an interval. So what we are saying here is that f dash of double dash of x is greater than or equal to 0. The bracket the case listed in the bracket is for that you will have to use the strictly 0. So I will do only one case which is greater than or equal to 0. The other one is left to you as an exercise. So this is greater than or equal to 0 in the interval I, which is something from a to b. Now then what we want to show is that the function is convex over this interval I. So to prove that f is convex over I. This is what we want to prove. So since the second derivative is there, so the first derivative is also there obviously, and therefore let x naught be some let x naught be a point in this interval I, and then around that we can write the Taylor series expansion. So f of x will be equal to f of x naught plus f dash of x naught into x minus x naught plus half of f double dash of some x bar into x minus x naught whole square, where this second derivative, where it is evaluated we don't know, but it comes somewhere between x0 and x, is it not? This is what Taylor series uh, function Taylor series function says. So now I will take one point x1 in the interval. I will take another point x2 in the interval, and I want to prove that. What do I want to prove? That f of x is, or rather, I want to prove that f of lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2 is less than or equal to lambda times of fx1 plus 1 minus lambda times of fx2, where lambda is between 0 and 1. This is what we mean by convexity, is it not? So this is what I want to prove. So the segment I am going, so there is an interval AB. In that interval somewhere I have taken x1, x2. Now I am going to restrict my points by moving lambda from 0 to 1. I am looking at only the line interval from here to from here to here, and over that I have to establish this inequality. Okay, so let's just put this in a circle. Now the way I am going to proceed is, first I will fix x naught. I have to fix x naught, is it not? If I have to use the Taylor series, I have to fix x naught. So I am going to fix x naught to lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2. I am going to choose or fix x naught to this. Then I am going to choose once x as x1 and next x as x2. Next I am going to choose x as x2. With these two choices, then I will do some little algebraic manipulation and come to this particular fact. Okay, so let's write now. Let's first look at choice of x equal to x1, and then I have to evaluate x minus x naught. Okay, even before doing that, let me do something first. Some simplification let me do first. So f double dash is greater than or equal to 0. X minus x naught whole square is also greater than or equal to 0. Half is also greater than or equal to 0. So this term here is always greater than or equal to 0. So that has to be added to fx naught plus this to obtain this f of x. Therefore, I can write f of x as greater than or equal to fx naught plus f dash of x naught into x minus x naught. Is it not? I can do that. Why? Because I have used the fact that the second derivative is always non-negative, and hence I have come to this fact. Now let me my first choice let me make x is equal to x1, and x naught is already chosen like this. So then I need to evaluate essentially x minus x naught. So I evaluate x minus x naught, and what is that going to be? X1 minus x1 minus this term. So therefore it is x1 into 1 minus lambda plus, I'm sorry, minus 1 minus lambda into x2, which is same as 1 minus lambda into x1 minus x2. So this is what I get from the first choice. So if I substitute it here, what do I get? I get f of x1, because x is chosen as x1, is greater than or equal to f of lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2, which is my choice of x naught, plus f dash of x naught. X naught I am not writing it now. You know what that x naught is, just keeping its life simple, into lambda x1, I'm sorry, not the lambda, but 1 minus lambda, 1 minute, 1 minus lambda into x1 minus x2. Okay, let's put this in a circle. This we are going to need it again. Okay, now let's go with the next choice. Next choice was, next time I said choose x is equal to x2. If you choose x is equal to x2, then what is x minus x naught? Lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2. I'm sorry. It is, yeah, x2 minus lambda x1 into plus 1 minus lambda x2, which is same as, if you look at this now, x2 will cancel with x2. This minus will become minus and minus will become plus. So you are going to get this as lambda of x2 minus x1, or minus lambda of x1 minus x2. So again now substitute in this. Actually, this is also important, so let's put this also in our blue bracket. Okay. So then what do you get now? F of x of 2 is greater than or equal to f of lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x of 2 plus f dash of x0 into minus of lambda. So I'll write here itself as minus of lambda into x1 minus x2. Okay, let's circle this also. So now these are the two inequalities. Okay, now what I will do is I will multiply this equation by lambda, and I will multiply this equation by 1 minus lambda. Okay, so my idea is that this lambda into 1 minus lambda into x1 minus x2 with lambda into 1 minus lambda x1 minus x2, when I add these two equations, this term will cancel with this term because x naught is the same. So therefore I will eliminate this whatever is there with respect to the first derivative. Now let's see what result I do after I do this addition. So I will on the, and remember lambda and 1 minus lambda coming from 0 to 1 are both positive, so the inequalities will not change any sign. I can continue to I can continue to add them as the same in the same way. So the LHS will become lambda times of f of x1 plus 1 minus lambda times of f of x2, and this RHS side, uh, RHS side, I will get lambda plus 1 minus of lambda into f of lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2, because the first term is same in both the places, so that's why I could directly group lambda and 1 minus lambda and add them together. And the second terms after multiplying by lambda and 1 minus lambda and adding cancelled out. So therefore, what do I get? I get that f of lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda of x2 is less than or equal to lambda times of fx1 plus 1 minus lambda times of fx2. Therefore, f is convex over the interval. So if the second derivative of the function is greater than or equal to 0 on the interval, then the function is convex on the interval. This is a important thing that we have done. This way we can actually easily check whether the function is convex or not. For example, if you look at let's look at some examples now very quickly. So example one, f of x is equal to x square. F double dash of x is 2 over r, complete over r. No need to so the interval is minus infinity to plus infinity. Since this is positive, we clearly see that f of x is strictly convex. Is it not? Okay. Next example. Let us look at the function f of x is equal to e to the power of x. What is f double dash of x? Again e to the power x, which is strictly greater than 0 for all x. Therefore, e to the power x is also strictly greater than 0. The second derivative means we can say that the function is strictly convex. By strict convexity, what do I mean? I mean that in the basic definition of convexity, where did I write the basic definition of convexity? Yeah, the basic definition of convexity, this inequality is also strict. So that is all that I mean by this. So this is another nice simple uh, uh, convex function. Now let's look at the third function, which is x. F of x is equal to x log of x. Okay, let me write it more neatly. I hope you are enjoying this convexity. It's nice, simple, and yet so many interesting facts and applications um, around it, you know. So f of x, let's take as uh, x log x. So what is f dash of x? Log of x plus x times 1 by x. And here, because I am having log of x, I will keep x greater than or equal to 0. Actually, I better, yeah, fine. And now what happens to f double dash? So this is log x plus 1. And what happens to f double dash of x? It is 1 by x. To avoid this division by 0 problem, let's just keep this as x greater than 0. So this is always strictly greater than 0. Therefore, x log x is strictly convex function. Okay. Now, if you look at a function like uh, say log of x, okay, then what is f dash of x? 1 by x, x greater than 0. What is f double dash of x? Minus of 1 by x square, which is strictly less than 0. So therefore, what can we say? We can say that minus log of x, which will give the second derivative as 1 by x square, is strictly convex, or other way to say it is log of x is strictly concave. And finally, let's take one last example, that is, let's say f of x is equal to under root of x. So f dash of x is going to be half of under root of x. So I'll keep x greater than 0. F dash of x is going to be half of under root of x. And what happens to f double dash? So this is half of x to the power minus half. So minus and minus 1 by 4 into 1 by under root of x cube, x to the power uh, cube. So x root x minus 1 by 4 x root x, which is again strictly less than 0. Therefore, under root of x is also strictly concave. So you saw some you could immediately see the fruits of this inequality straight away, is it not? Now I want to bring out one more small fact, uh, that how this becomes useful. For example, in information theory, uh, this is the entropy is defined as entropy of h over x of a discrete random variable capital X is defined as defined by h of x is equal to, again this is uh, from Cover and Cover only, or Thomas and correct way to say is Thomas and Thomas, minus of x p of x log of p of x. So again you can see that this logarithm is, I think, for base 2, and we use the definition we define by convention that 0 log 0 is 0. Then it can be seen that this function is actually concave. This function is concave. Of course, if even if it's for base 2, you can do the base conversion and therefore establish the fact for, if you have already proved that x log x over with the natural logarithm as the base is convex, then the minus of it is convex and concave, and so if you change it also to the base, you should still get the same inequality. So one very straightforward application of the fact you could immediately see. Now you can extend this to n-dimensional case very easily. What you have to do is, in the case of an n-dimensional case, what you have to say is that if Hessian of a function is positive semi-definite or positive definite. Alternate possibility is positive definite over a convex subset C in Rn, then the function f of x, okay, over C is convex or strictly convex. If it is if the matrix, second derivative matrix is positive definite, then the function will become strictly convex. So you can, what I did for univariate case, you can easily generalize it to, the n dimensional case. And so what we are given here now is f of x. Uh, what we are given here is f of x can be written as f of x naught plus gradient of f of x naught transpose x minus x naught plus half of x minus x naught. Okay, I think I'll write it below only. I have so much of space. Why am I saving on space? Plus half of x minus x naught into Hessian evaluated at some x bar into, this is transpose x minus x naught. And this Hessian, since x bar is a point on joining between x naught and x somewhere, but where it is I don't know. Then and because x naught and x are chosen from C, so the x naught are from C and x is also from C. So the x bar is also in C and is positive. So the hx of bar is therefore positive definite matrix. So therefore, or positive semi-definite matrix rather. Then therefore, this term is going to be strictly greater than or equal to 0. So I can say that this term here is greater than or equal to 0. Hence, over this convex set where the Hessian is positive semi-definite everywhere, I can write the inequality that f of x is greater than or equal to f of transpose of x naught into x minus x naught. Now, again the same way as I did the last time, choose arbitrarily x1 from C, x2 from C, define x naught as a point on the line segment joining x1 and x2, lambda being, I'm sorry, the lambda being lambda restricted from in the interval 0 to 1. Then choose once x as x1, next x as x2, calculate x minus x naught the same way as I did earlier, calculate x minus x naught, substitute in the inequality. Which inequality? This one. in this inequality. Then multiply first inequality that you will get, multiply first resulting inequality by lambda and second one by 1 minus lambda, and add same thing exactly, you do it yourself, add, and then what you will get, you will get that f of lambda for x naught, I am going to write 1 minus lambda naught x2 is less than or equal to lambda times of uh, lambda times of f of x of 1 plus 1 minus lambda times of f of x of 2, where lambda comes from 0 and 1. Hence, f of x is convex. All right, let's take a break here.